Hey there, grammar students. Chelsea here with Let's Talk. Today, let's break down the future perfect tense. Now, we've talked about a lot of different perfect tenses, right? Present perfect, past perfect, present perfect, continuous. Today, we're going to bring future perfect into the mix. So, before we do that, let's talk about the point of a perfect tense. Why do we have perfect tenses? Well, every perfect tense shows some kind of a connection to a time before. And before what is going to change based on past, present, or future. So, with present perfect, we are showing a connection to a time before now. There is something that connects the time before now to now. So, for example, I have been a detective for 12 years. So 12 years before now is connected to now. Past perfect shows a connection to a time before a time in the past. So, for example, she had received a raise 2 months before she retired. So we have this event that happened in the past. She retired. And we want to talk about a connection to something before that. So she had received, as our past perfect form, 2 months before this thing. So we're connecting it to a time before this other time in the past. So for future perfect, we're going to keep going with this pattern. Future perfect talks about a time before some event in the future. All right, now present perfect was formed by using has or have plus the past participle. Past perfect was had plus the past participle. Any guesses how we'll form future perfect? Same pattern. It's going to be will have plus the past participle. Alrighty. So let me give you a sentence and I can kind of give you the timeline here, all right? The architect will have finished the design by June 20th. All right, so with this sentence, we know that June 20th is in the future. And the architect finishing the design is also in the future. But the architect will finish the design sometime before June 20th. So if we do a kind of a timeline here. So future's off to the right, past, and now. So let's say here is June 20th. And sometime before June 20th, the architect will have finished that design. So it's showing a connection between this point in the future and this point in the future. The thing that comes first will use our future perfect. Will have finished. Let me show you another example. All right, let's go with by the time you retire, you will have worked at this company for 46 years. Goodness gracious. So if we have the time of retirement here at this point in the future, we know that this is starting 46 years before the retirement. So we're going to go 46 years in the past. Maybe that is to here. Maybe you don't have the job yet. You're going to start the job in the future. Then it will be 46 years till you retire. Maybe you're getting the job right now. You're just starting the job. If you're starting the job now, 46 years from now, you will retire. Or maybe you already have the job. You started the job, I don't know, way back here. But it's still going to be 46 years until retirement. So we don't know when this started exactly. Past, present, future, not sure. But we know that it's before this point in the future. And there's a distance of 46 years. So I know this can be a bit complicated. There's one extra thing I need to show you here. So this, by the time, this is our time expression here. And when we add on you retire, a subject and a verb, we get a time clause, a time clause. And one thing you might remember about time clauses is that they can't use future tense. So, you retire, that hasn't happened yet. That's in the future. But we're not saying by the time you will retire. We can't use future tense in the time clause. We have to use just a regular present tense. So by the time you retire, not by the time you will retire. So that's going to count for anything where our point in the future is a clause. So, speaking of, usually with future perfect tense, we'll use a time word like by the time, like before, or just by. So here I've got by the time you retire, there's a subject and a verb, so this is officially a clause. We can also use just by. I did that in my first example. By June 20th. So by is just followed by a time, not a clause. By June 20th, by next year, by 2025, by Friday. So just a time, not a clause. But with before, we can use either one. Before June 20th, or before you retire. So with before, we can use a time or a clause. That's both okay. But again, it's a time clause, so no future tense. We'll use present, simple present by the time you retire, before you retire. All right, let's talk negative forms. All right, so just like every other tense, to make a sentence negative, we're going to stick not between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. I will not have graduated. I won't have graduated by June. So I can't accept the job. All right, so two auxiliary verbs here. Will have, we'll put not between those two after the first one. Will not have graduated. Now you might be saying to yourself, will not, there's a contraction there. So you will probably say, I won't have graduated by June 20th. Question formation, same as every other tense. We'll put that first auxiliary verb at the beginning. Followed by the subject. Then our main verb. And any other information. Will the stylist have finished by 7 p.m.? Maybe why will the stylist have finished by 7 p.m.? If it's an info question, stick that question word at the beginning. Now, if you're not confident that something will have happened, we could also use our modal verbs, may, might, or could have. So instead of I won't have graduated, a little more positive, I may have graduated by June. Or I might have graduated by June. Or I could have graduated by June. These are all possible if you're not quite sure. So I know that future perfect is confusing. Good news though, it's not actually used all that commonly. So you're not going to have to use this in every conversation you have in English. It's pretty rare, but it is good to know to kind of show off your fancy, sophisticated English grammar. All right, that is all I have for you today. In the comments, tell me what you will have done by the time you graduate. This is Chelsea telling you it's not nerdy being wordy. Let's talk again soon.